Hey, what's up, you guys? Nick Quintero here, and today I'm going to show you how I make photoreal apparel templates using Photoshop, but finishing them in Illustrator so you can put your vector artwork on them. All right, let's go. All right, so I'm going to get started with this shorts blank that I got from Zara just to start somewhere simple. So I begin by duplicating the layer, but it's not what I intended to do. The first thing that I want to do is crop out this white background. So I use the select subject button with my magic wand selected, and it does a pretty good job of just taking that top object and cropping out the background, especially when it's something like a super clear shape that's dark on a white background. There's only a couple of minor things that I want to fix here. So I'm going to fill in this weird little gap here. So I'm just going to take my smudge tool and lock the pixel transparencies and then just kind of lightly brush in here to pull out some of these darker colors out to the edge so that there's not so much of that white space there. So you can see there's a lot of it on this one in particular. So I'm gonna try this a different way. I'm gonna hold Command, click on my thumbnail, make that selection, contract the pixel selection, invert it, and then delete the outside so that a lot of that white space goes away. So now I wanna get rid of this little placket, and I'm gonna do that by I tried the stamp tool here, but that's not really a good idea. I'm going to select this space here and hit Shift Delete to get my content aware delete options and just go with the default. Try it here and boom. I mean, that's pretty much it. I love the content aware feature. It helps out with so many things like this, but I still want to smooth out some of these wrinkles because you can tell they're only there because there was a placket there. So I want to try to fix this with more content aware. Sometimes you can see that like random stuff kind of pops back up. So I'm just going to clean it up with the stamp tool here. And I think it looks great. I mean, it looks so much better. Like if you know it's there, you can see it, but if you don't, you'll never know. So I'm going to take out these pockets as well, just by selecting them, Shift Delete, get the content aware going. And yeah, I mean, just do this little by little to avoid getting some real big mistakes. And it should work out pretty well. You can use this technique to get rid of any like neck labels or neck tags or a print that might already be on the photo that you're trying to clean up. So since I have the pixels locked here, I can select outside of where the graphic is and still only update the artwork that's there with my content aware. I'm gonna do this side just like I did the other. And I got kind of ambitious here and selected a big chunk of that stitch, and I got super lucky. It totally worked. And so I got a little confident doing the delete sections here, but you know, I decided to scale it back and just kind of do it where I was comfortable. Cool. I think that looks pretty great. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do here is unlock the pixels, duplicate the layer, and I'm going to add a smart filter layer over it with the levels. So I'm going to use this level filter here to adjust the darkness and brightness, because what I want is two different versions of this image, one that looks like it's black and one that looks like it's white. So I play with the levels here and get this one looking like it's just solid black shorts, duplicate it, and then I am using the option key to click between the layers, so that way the levels filter is only applying to the layer it's above. Do a little bit of fine tuning here, and I'm going to try to pull the levels back the other direction to make them white for the second version of this. This one's a little bit trickier since this particular image started out black. So I really have to play with these things little by little. And it really sucks that my Photoshop is still doing these black flashing boxes while I'm trying to do this, because it makes it nearly impossible to see what I'm doing. All right, just a couple more tweaks here, and you can see that it starts to look pretty close to an image that started out white. All right, turn off the background layer, save this Photoshop file in layers so that we can actually just import this straight into Illustrator. All right, so when I open this in Illustrator, I chose the correct settings, which was convert layers to objects and do not import the hidden layers. However, I forgot that I need to flatten those levels down with the image to make it work. So you can see there's only one image in here, and it's those black shorts. So I need to go back into Photoshop here, and I'm gonna flatten these layers so that you can clearly see the black layer of the shorts and the white layer of the shorts. I duplicated everything so I didn't lose anything later. All right, so now save that, import that new file back into Illustrator, convert layers to objects, don't import hidden layers, and now you can see that I have 3 separate layers. This one's not needed, so we'll just trash it, and I'm gonna duplicate the black short and the white short because I need 2 instances of both of these. But first I'm gonna create a new layer called shading, and I'm gonna drag these 2 instances in as sub-layers. Now here I'll duplicate those, and now I'm gonna adjust these settings. So the top layer, the black short, is going to be set to color dodge. The second layer is going to be set to screen. The third layer will be set to color burn, and the last layer will be set to multiply. Now, there's different transparencies that I use here, so I usually play around with them after I've got some color going, but I'm gonna set this one to 45. I'm gonna set the second one to 48. The third one to 84, and the last one I'm probably gonna keep at 100. It's kind of blown out, so I'm gonna adjust these slightly and get it a little bit closer to what I usually like it to look like visually. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add some color to it, and then I'll adjust these a little bit further after I have my color in there. All right, let's go ahead and lock this shading layer, create a new layer under it called body color. And I'm gonna go ahead and start drawing in the base shape of the color for this template. Now, I zoom in pretty close just so I can get as accurate as possible, but when you are mixing these super sharp flat vectors with these bitmap photos, it's kind of hard to make it perfect, so you can really just, zoom out probably a little bit more than I did and just create a really basic shape. But I try really hard to follow these outlines here. All right, let's speed this up. All right, so here you can see that I swapped back to outlines since I was going to be covering up some of this art with those solid fills. So I really wanted to be able to see what I was doing for this last little stretch on this elastic. Look at that pun. Beautiful. All right, closing off this path, and let's zoom out and see what we got. Looks great. We'll flip back to the fill. And now let's go ahead and adjust these, adjust the opacity on these other blending layers that I have. There's somewhat of a formula for the ones like the opacity levels that I pick for these, but I don't always memorize it, so I kind of just play with what I have. All right, I'm going to create a new layer here and call it art, and this is where the art will go later. But in the meantime, I'm going to change my artboard down to 6 inches because this is closer to what we use for our presentations at my job. So shrink the whole short template down. And then I'm going to create a new box that is 6 by 6. Oops, wrong layer. And move it down to the body color. And then I'm going to press Shift O. And then I'm going to click on that artwork, and it's going to create a new artboard based on the shape that I clicked. So let's lock both of the body color and shading layers. And these are some colors that we use. So I'm going to go ahead and mess around with these and see what this looks like in different colors. Cool, that looks great. And now all of those swatches are added to my swatch panel. So if I need them later, I'll have them. All right, switch this back to red, and then, all right, so let's get into some of the details here. So I'm gonna grab this blue, actually let's go green, and I don't want this to clash, so let's try to make something that won't look too crazy. We'll go with yellow, and I'm gonna come in and start to outline and trace over these drawstrings and basically just color block out all of the pieces that could be separate colors if you were doing a full-on like color block item. So you would do the sleeves, the collar, and in this case you're doing the drawstrings. We'll do the elastic band and even both legs, since those are all things that could possibly be color blocked in the future. So here I really just kind of start going crazy. I don't zoom in as close. I don't try to get it as accurate, because at this point I'm over it and I'm ready to get this done. That's just usually how my artwork goes. All right, so there's the drawstrings. See, when you zoom out, you can't even tell how close you got to the details anyway, so it really doesn't matter. All right, so let's trace this elastic band. And I just try to find the seam that looks like it's where, you know, the two pieces of fabric are joined. And then I just start to roughly make my lines here. And I'm even just going to draw these in because I'm just trying to get through this band. And the details don't really matter when you're zoomed out. Don't take that as a word of advice like all the time. But on something like this, I think it's fair and safe to just do a rough outline. All right, let's continue this path all the way around this elastic band. You could even cut it and make it, you know, two pieces, but why would you do that? All right, here I just pressed J and joined those 2 points there. So now that's why everything turned green automatically. Let's zoom back out and let's do the seam here for these 2 legs. I'm gonna pick another color so we can tell the difference in all of the pieces. This is gonna be a little helpful later on. You'll see what I'm talking about. So let's cut that straight down the middle, draw back around this leg, and just a quick pass up there. Now you'll see why we're able to do this in these like rough shapes here right now. So I'm going to use the shape builder so that I can quickly separate all of these paths that I've drawn. So I just make sure that visually you can see what's there. And if you go into the outlines, you can see where all of your different paths are. And this one is broken. So I'm going to hit J again, join those points, and everything looks pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and hide the shading layer so we can look at everything exactly how it needs to be. Select all of these shapes and press Shift M to get the Pathfinder tool. I'm sorry, the Shape Builder tool. And if you hold Option and click on a color, that portion of it will go away. And if you click and drag, you can actually join these two together. You could do the same thing on all of these pieces, either subtracting or merging them together. Also, you can see whenever I do this, it all becomes one color because all of those points are now joined into one shape. But if I click on this green tab while I still have the yellow selected, you can see that it turned yellow. So if you select your color before you join these two pieces, you can pick what color it's going to be when it finishes. All right, so now all of those pieces are separate and you can grab them separately if you use the direct selection tool or the magic wand tool, I'm sorry. So now I've selected all my yellow, all my blue. I'm grouping these since they're two separate pieces. I don't need to group the red and green, but if you use your direct selection tool, you can select just the one part. But if you use your selection tool, now it's got the whole group and you can change it all together. So I'm going to make all of these pieces red, and I'm going to make these drawstrings white, because this is like the perfect way to deliver this template. All right, that's pretty much it for the template part of it. Super happy with how this came out. Now let's put some art on this, because I want to show you guys one more bonus tip. All right, so this is my crazy DCO logo and Misfits for some reason file. So let's go ahead and grab this basic Batman logo. I'm going to paste it over here onto my art panel, put it on the right layer. And now I'm going to center it, and this is what I'm going to use for the art. So let's go ahead and drag it into our symbols panel, and we'll name it Batman logo for posterity. And now I'm going to copy this same symbol over to my shorts. So now when I make this rotated slightly, I still have my symbol that's not been adjusted. So the reason why I like to use symbols like this is so that you can do quick edits and updates. Let's say you had a revision and somebody wants you to make the Batman logo white. So all you have to do is open your symbol instance and adjust the art however it needs to be adjusted. And when you go back out, both of these instances are updated. And so now you can make revisions quickly, and all of your changes will be super streamlined. Now let's save this as Boys Shorts template, because we always save our art. All right, there you go. That's exactly how I make my templates finalized in Illustrator, so that I can use those symbols and just have clean vector art. I can export that as a JPEG or a PNG with a transparent background, and just get the most out of what you can do in Illustrator, but still have a nice, clean photoreal look. All right. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really appreciate all the love and support. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, please consider giving me a subscribe and hit that little bell down there so that way you can be notified every time I release a new video. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I'm getting a lot of new followers, or subscribers, I should say, but I'm also getting a lot of new followers on my Instagram at NickQ. So please check out my work there. And I really want to thank you guys for doing all this with me. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Later.